On a cold and rainy October night, Officer Ethan was about to finish his shift at the Portland, Oregon police station when the phone rang. On the other end of the line, Captain Smith, with his always calm but urgently laden voice, said, "Ethan, we've got a situation. A boy has been repeatedly calling the station claiming to be hungry. I need you to handle this." Ethan, known for his dedication and empathy, immediately sensed the gravity of the situation. "Understood, Captain. Do you have any information on who the boy is or where he is?" "Unfortunately, no. The calls are brief and he sounds scared. The only thing we know is that he's hungry and alone." Ethan grabbed his coat and headed to the operations room where the technical team was already working to trace the origin of the calls. The rain pounded against the windows, echoing the urgency Ethan felt. After hours of hard work, the team made a breakthrough. "We've managed to trace the call to a neighborhood in the north zone of the city," announced one of the technicians, handing Ethan a piece of paper with the address. Before leaving, Ethan dialed the number the boy had used again. This time, a trembling and childish voice answered, "Hello? Hi, I'm Officer Ethan. I'm here to help you. Can you tell me where you are and what's your name?" There was a pause before the boy responded, his voice choked with emotion. I don't know. I'm cold and hungry, and my name is Jason Anderson. I'm coming to find you, okay, Jason? I'll help you. You're not alone." Ethan hung up the phone, his heart heavy with responsibility. He knew the next few hours would be crucial. With the address in hand and the determination of a lion, he ventured out into the rainy night, promising himself that he would do everything in his power to save the boy. The city, its lights blurred by the rain, seemed to hold dark secrets, but Ethan was determined to bring some light into the life of that lost child. In the darkness of the night, with the storm still raging outside, Ethan settled into the driver's seat, holding the phone with one hand while the other remained firm on the wheel. As he headed towards the traced address, he decided to assess Jason's situation. So, he dialed the number again, hoping Jason would answer. After 3 long rings, a small, trembling voice broke the silence. "Hello?" Jason's voice was a whisper, almost drowned out by the sound of rain hitting Ethan's car roof. "Jason, it's me, Ethan. Remember, I promised I would help you." Ethan's voice was gentle, trying to convey reassurance through the phone line. There was a pause, and then a low sob came from the other end. I'm scared," Jason managed to say, his voice choked with tears. "I know, Jason, I know. But you're not alone now. Can you tell me what happened?" Ethan encouraged, his concern growing with each exchanged word. It was then that Jason began to pour out his story between sobs and pauses to breathe. "My dad, he died a year ago," began Jason, the words coming out in a flood of pain and sadness. "And my mom, she's hardly ever home. I think she doesn't know how to take care of me, or maybe she doesn't want to." Jason's words hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. The loneliness and helplessness in the boy's voice were palpable, and he could imagine Jason small and lost, sitting alone in some dark corner of his house, waiting for a rescue that seemed never to come. "Jason, I'm so sorry for everything you're going through, but I'm going to find you, okay? I'll get you out of there, and we'll figure this out together. You're very brave for calling for help. Just stay strong a little while longer, okay? Do you promise?" Jason's voice was laden with fragile hope. "I promise," affirmed Ethan, feeling the weight of his promise. "We'll get you to a safe place. You have my word." Hanging up the phone, Ethan was filled with a fierce determination. He wouldn't rest until he found Jason and ensured that the boy never felt alone or helpless again. The night ahead would be long and possibly full of challenges, but he was ready to face them for Jason. He would do whatever it took. Do you believe Ethan will be able to find Jason? Will Jason manage to get a new life with a new family? What do you think will happen? Leave your comments below. We want to know your opinion. The path was long to Jason's address, and daylight was beginning to emerge, with the previous storm dissipated, leaving behind a clear sky and fresh air. Ethan made his way to the neighborhood. Where Jason lived, the community seemed calm, with the still wet streets reflecting the morning sun. Parking the car, Ethan walked the streets, observing the houses in search of someone who could provide him with more information about Jason and his family. After a few minutes, he spotted an elderly man sitting on a rocking chair on the porch of a modest house surrounded by a small, well-kept garden. Ethan approached, greeting the man with a respectful nod of his head. "Good morning, sir. My name is Ethan. I'm a police officer. I'm looking for information about a family that lives around here, the Andersons. Do you know them?" The elderly man looked at Ethan for a moment, assessing him before nodding slowly. "The Andersons? Yes. A family that has faced more than their share of sorrows, I would say. Sit down, young man. I'll tell you what I know." Ethan sat down next to the man, who began to narrate the story of the Andersons. They arrived here about 5 years ago. The mother, a hard-working woman, always struggling to keep the house and take care of little Jason. The father was a good man, but he was taken by a cruel illness about a year ago. Since then, things seem to have fallen apart. "What do you mean?" Ethan asked, interested. "After the father died, the mother started being gone for days, sometimes weeks, leaving the boy alone. The neighborhood folks tried to help, but she would refuse. She said she would manage, but the truth is, the child was practically abandoned." Ethan noted every word, feeling the weight of the situation. "And about Jason? Does he have friends? Someone he spends time with?" The man shook his head. "No, the boy is quiet. He stays a lot at home. Since the father died, he changed, became more withdrawn. I think he misses his father, and the mother's absence only makes things worse." Before Ethan continued his journey in search of Jason, he asked the elderly man for the exact address of the Anderson family. Then he stood up, thanking the man for his help. Ethan was now more determined to take action. The information provided by the neighbor not only confirmed Jason's story, but also painted a picture of neglect and suffering that Ethan could not ignore. As he walked back to the car, Ethan reflected on the best way to help Jason. The boy's story and his family had touched his heart, and he knew he wouldn't rest until he ensured that Jason had the safety and love he deserved. It was more than a mission. It had become a personal promise. As the morning progressed into noon, the autumn sun cast long shadows across the streets of the northern part of the city, an area ethaned by a mix of old houses and new constructions. Guided by the information gathered from the elderly man and the neighbors, Ethan drove slowly through the narrow streets, carefully observing every face and every movement around him. He was determined to find Jason's mother or someone who could offer a clue about her whereabouts. At each stop, Ethan introduced himself with professionalism and compassion, explaining the situation and showing a faded photo of Jason that he had obtained from one of the neighbors. "Good morning. I'm looking for this child or his mother. Have you seen them recently?" He kept his voice calm and firm, trying not to alarm people but conveying the urgency of the situation. In one of the houses, a middle-aged woman with traces of exhaustion ethaning her face responded to his question with a hint of recognition. "Oh yes, little Jason. I saw him playing alone in the park a few days ago. His mother, well, I saw her once this week late at night. She seemed worried, in a hurry." "Do you know where she could have gone or have any idea where I can find her?" Ethan asked, mentally noting every detail. The woman hesitated, looking at her own hands before responding. "I'm not sure, officer, but she mentioned something about a night job at one of the warehouses near the dock. Maybe that's where she spends her nights." Thanking the woman for the information, Ethan felt a mixture of hope and determination. The dock was a vast area full of warehouses and nighttime activities, but he was willing to search every corner if it meant bringing some security to Jason. However, Ethan knew it was more urgent to find Jason than his mother. He continued to Jason's address, thinking about the next steps he would take afterward. With the promise to protect the boy echoing in his mind, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. As Ethan's car approached the end of the street, he spotted the house described by the neighbors, a modest structure with weather-worn paint and a small garden in the front, now overrun with weeds. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the yard, where a guard dog with dark fur and eyes was tethered to a short chain. Upon noticing Ethan's arrival, the dog rose, barking fiercely, baring its teeth. Ethan parked the car and observed the animal for a moment, pondering the best way to approach. He knew he needed to gain the dog's trust to reach Jason. Opening the glove compartment, He found a pack of dog biscuits he kept for situations like this. With caution, he approached the yard's boundary, showing the packet to the dog, trying to calm it with a gentle voice. "Hey, buddy, I don't want to hurt you. I'm here to help." The initially wary dog slowly approached, drawn by the smell of the biscuits. Ethan tossed a biscuit to it, which it quickly devoured. Its behavior started to change. After a few minutes, the dog no longer barked, allowing Ethan approached with the now calmer dog. Ethan looked around, searching for Jason. It was then that he noticed a pair of curious eyes peering from a half-open window of the house. It was Jason, watching cautiously. Ethan waved, trying to convey reassurance with his gesture. "Jason, it's me, Ethan. I've come to get you, as I promised." Jason slowly opened the window, his face eaten by a mixture of hope and fear. "You really came," he said, his voice low and trembling. Ethan nodded, offering an encouraging smile. "We're getting you out of here, Jason. You're safe now." Carefully, Ethan guided Jason out of the house, making sure the dog remained calm. Once outside, he led Jason to the car, wrapping him in a blanket he kept in the back seat. As they drove away from the house, Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing Jason now safe, with a faint smile beginning to form on his face. This rescue wasn't just the end of a search, it was the beginning of a new journey for Jason, a promise of safety, care, and above all, a better future. And for Ethan, it was a reaffirmation of his commitment to protect and serve, a reminder of the profound impact that an act of kindness can have. With Jason now safely by his side, Ethan knew there was still a pending task to be done. He needed to check the house, ensure that no one else was in danger or any other threat was hidden in the shadows. Instructing Jason to wait in the car, promising it wouldn't take long, Ethan armed himself with courage and returned to the residence. The atmosphere, heavy with anticipation, the front door already ajar, creaked under his cautious push. The interior of the house was steeped in an oppressive silence, broken only by the sound of his footsteps on the aged wooden floor. Ethan called out, his voice echoing through the empty corridors, but there was no response. The dim light seeping through the dusty curtains barely illuminated the path ahead. It was then, turning into the hallway that led to the bedrooms, that Ethan came across a scene that froze his blood. On the floor of the master bedroom lay the body of a woman, clearly lifeless for several days. The tragic reality of the situation hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. It was Jason's mother. Ethan parked the car and observed the animal for a moment, pondering the best way to approach. He knew he needed to gain the dog's trust to reach Jason. Opening the glove compartment, he found a pack of dog biscuits he kept for situations like this. With caution, he approached the yard's boundary, showing the packet to the dog, trying to calm it with a gentle voice. "Hey, buddy, I don't want to hurt you. I'm here to help." The initially wary dog slowly approached, drawn by the smell of the biscuits. Ethan tossed a biscuit to it, which it quickly devoured. Its behavior started to change. After a few minutes, the dog no longer barked, allowing Ethan to approach. With the dog now calmer, Ethan looked around, searching for Jason. It was then that he noticed a pair of curious eyes peering from a half-open window of the house. It was Jason, watching cautiously. Ethan waved, trying to convey reassurance with his gesture. "Jason, it's me, Ethan. I've come to get you, as I promised." Jason slowly opened the window, his face eaten by a mixture of hope and fear. "You really came?" he said, his voice low and trembling. Ethan nodded, offering an encouraging smile. "We're getting you out of here, Jason. You're safe now." Carefully, Ethan guided Jason out of the house, making sure the dog remained calm. Once outside, he led Jason to the car, wrapping him in a blanket he kept in the back seat. As they drove away from the house, Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing Jason now safe, with a faint smile beginning to form on his face. This rescue wasn't just the end of a search. "Ethan, my love, what happened? You look devastated," Smith said, enveloping him in a comforting embrace. Ethan sighed deeply, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly with Smith's touch. "It's about the case I'm working on, the boy Jason. We found his mother. She was dead, Smith, and now Jason is alone in the world." Smith pulled back, looking into Ethan's eyes, her determination shining through the sadness. Then we'll help him, Ethan. We can't let him face this alone. We have our children. Imagine if they ended up with no one to care for them. Let's help Jason. We already have experience with kids anyway. Ethan looked at Smith, admiration and love for his wife growing even stronger. Are you sure? This could be complicated. And I'm sure, Smith interrupted, her voice firm and full of conviction. We'll do whatever it takes to help. Jason, he needs love, a home, someone who cares, and who better than us. In the days that followed, Smith joined Ethan, bringing her unwavering compassion and support. Together, they cared for Jason, offering him a safe and loving environment. Smith took the lead on day-to-day matters, ensuring Jason felt welcomed and part of the family, while Ethan continued the investigation seeking justice for Jason's mother. Smith became a constant and comforting presence for the boy. She helped him with homework, prepared his favorite meals, and spent hours listening to his stories, smiling and offering words of encouragement. You know, Jason, Smith said one night as they sat together on the couch, you're not alone. We're here for you, always. Jason, looking at Smith, felt a wave of gratitude and love. For the first time in a long time, he felt truly safe and cared for. Smith's decision to join Ethan in helping Jason not only strengthened the bond between them, but also created a new family united by love and compassion. Jason adapted very well to the family. Every day he played with Smith and Ethan's children, and together they faced the challenges that arose, proving that even in the darkest circumstances, kindness and love can bring light and hope. Even with Smith being very empathetic and helping Jason, the couple had to discuss it. On a particularly starry night, Smith and Ethan sat in the living room, the comfortable silence between them being only occasionally interrupted by the crackling of the wood in the fireplace. It was Smith who broke the silence, her voice gentle but determined. Ethan, we need to do more than just temporarily help Jason. He's lost everything, and what he needs most now is a home, stability, love, she said, her eyes meeting her husband's with a warm intensity. Ethan, looking at Smith, felt a mixture of admiration and gratitude. I was thinking the exact same thing. Jason has been through so much. It's time we give him the security and affection his mother would want him to have. They decided at that moment that they would not only open their doors. Ethan, my love, what happened? You look devastated, Smith said, enveloping him in a comforting embrace. Ethan sighed deeply, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly with Smith's touch. It's about the case I'm working on, the boy Jason. We found his mother. She was dead, Smith, and now Jason is alone in the world. Smith pulled back, looking into Ethan's eyes, her determination shining through the sadness. Then we'll help him, Ethan. We can't let him face this alone. We have our children. Imagine if they end up with no one to care for them. Let's help Jason. We already have experience. Jason, with tears in his eyes, looked at Smith and Ethan. He had felt so lost and alone, and the kindness and love being offered to him now were more than he could have ever imagined. I don't know what to say. Thank you, he managed to whisper, gratitude evident in his voice. In the months that followed, Smith and Ethan kept their promise, enveloping Jason in a blanket of love and security and filing for adoption. They accompanied him every step of the way in overcoming the traumas he had experienced, celebrating every small victory and supporting him through the challenges. The house, once Ethaned by routine and tranquility, was now filled with laughter and shared moments of joy. Smith and Ethan's decision to welcome Jason into their home not only changed the boy's life, but also brought a new depth to love and unity within the family. Together, they learned that the true meaning of family transcends blood ties, being built on the foundations of love, compassion, and unwavering commitment to care for each other. On a sunny Sunday afternoon, as the house buzzed with Jason and his new siblings' laughter and play, Smith and Ethan sat on the porch, watching the scene with hearts full of love and gratitude. Then, they made a decision. They wanted to open their doors and hearts to other children in vulnerable situations, as Jason had turned their house into a vibrant home full of life and joy. Do you remember, Ethan, the night we decided that Jason would be part of our family? How nervous we were, yet so certain of our decision? Smith began, her soft voice blending with the sounds of happiness emanating from the garden. Ethan smiled, recalling that pivotal moment. Yes, I remember, and to think that was just the first of many decisions that brought us here. Look at them, Smith. We're creating a sanctuary, a place where love knows no bounds. It was true. Inspired by Jason's journey, Smith and Ethan had not only adopted him, but also other children, each bringing their own story of struggle and resilience. They had turned their house into a haven of hope, where each child could find safety, love, and the promise of a better future. I never imagined our family would grow this much, but now I can't imagine our life any other way, Smith said, watching one of the younger children run towards her with a drawing in hand. Look, Mommy, I drew our family, the child exclaimed proudly, handing the drawing to Smith. Smith examined the drawing, where each family member was represented with simple yet loving strokes. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Let's put it on the fridge so everyone can see. Ethan stood up, reaching out to Smith. Let's go inside together. Our big family is waiting for us. Walking back inside hand in hand, Smith and Ethan knew that every effort, every challenge faced was worth it. They had created more than a family. They had built a community of love and support where each child could grow knowing they were valued and unconditionally loved. The experience with Jason had been just the beginning of an incredible journey, a journey that showed Smith and Ethan the transformative power of love and compassion. Together, they had created a legacy of hope, a living testament that even in the darkest moments, it's possible to find light and create a future full of possibilities. In a home filled with laughter and lively voices, Smith and Ethan found the true essence of happiness. The transformation of their house into a refuge for needy children not only changed the lives of these little ones, but also theirs, weaving a rich tapestry of love, challenges, and shared triumphs. Each day dawned with its own set of challenges, from helping with homework to resolving small conflicts over who would take turns on the backyard swing. However, each obstacle was faced with an unwavering sense of unity and mutual support. Did you see Jason helping Lily with math last night? They spent hours together at that kitchen table, Smith commented with a proud smile as she and Ethan prepared breakfast on a busy Saturday morning. Ethan, running his hand through his hair in a thoughtful gesture, agreed. Yes, it's amazing to see how they support each other. Remember when Jason could barely focus on his own assignments? And now look at him. The conversation was interrupted by a sudden burst of laughter from the backyard, where the children had started an impromptu soccer game. The couple exchanged a knowing glance, the joy in their eyes reflecting the happiness they felt in their hearts. Smith and Ethan were greatly esteemed in the community. Their efforts to provide a loving and safe home did not go unnoticed. Neighbors often offered help, whether through donations of clothes and toys or by volunteering to tutor the children. The couple's generosity inspired a spirit of communion and solidarity in the neighborhood, turning the area into a more welcoming place for everyone. At a recent community event, the family was honored for their selfless contributions. We don't do this for recognition, but because we believe every child deserves love and security, Smith shared during the thank you speech, with Ethan by her side firmly holding her hand. Life in Smith and Ethan's house was a constant journey of learning and growth. Each day brought new stories, challenges, and joys. They went to bed every night with grateful and contented hearts, knowing that in their own unique way, they were making a difference in the world one child at a time. The satisfaction and happiness they felt in their new family life were not just profound. They were a testament to the transformative power of love, compassion, and commitment to others.